Episode Shiyi lines crossed the cafe was buzzing with low conversations, clinking cups, and the faint hiss of the espresso machine, but Maggie, Mina, and Lacey stood frozen as Xander and Kio dripped with iced mocha. Raven Maddox didn't look amused. Or angry. Just sharp. Like he was recalculating his next move. Ko shook his arms, spraying mocha everywhere. Damn, it's cold! Why is it always you who get hit? Xander glared at Mina. You did that on purpose. Mina stepped back, her voice small but steady. It was an accident. No, it wasn't, Xander hissed. Raven lifted a hand. The guy stopped talking instantly. His voice was quiet but full of fire. Enough. He turned toward Maggie. She stood tall despite the fear twisting in her stomach. You think this is funny? Raven asked. No, Maggie said, lifting her chin. I think this is fair. Raven took one step forward, close enough for her to feel his presence like a storm cloud rolling in. Fair, he repeated. You dump drinks on my friends and call that fair? You came here to mess with us, Maggie snapped. You started it. Raven smirked slow, dangerous. Then finish it. Mina grabbed Maggie's wrist. Let's just walk away. Lacey tugged her apron. Please, Maggie. This is going too far. But Maggie didn't move. She held Raven's gaze like she was challenging gravity itself. He narrowed his eyes. Why do you keep standing up when every other person in this school bows? Because I'm not scared of you, Maggie said softly. And for the first time in his life, Raven Maddox blinked. Xander muttered, Bro. She's not even lying. Ko added, This girl's either brave or insane. Drew whispered, My money's on insane. Shift over, but it's not over when their shift finally ended. The cafe felt like a battlefield that had been wiped clean. Maggie walked out with Minna and Lacey beside her. Her bag felt heavier than usual. Her heart too. But the moment they stepped outside, a sleek black car blocked their path. Raven stood leaning against it, arms crossed, like he'd been waiting. Lacey groaned. Oh, come on, don't rich people ever go home? Mina pulled Maggie back. You're not talking to him alone. Raven pushed off the car. I'm driving you home, he said. No, Maggie replied instantly. I'm not getting in your car. Not a request, Raven said. And I'm not your toy, she fired back. Raven's jaw clenched. He took a slow breath, controlling himself. Your neighborhood is far, it's late. It's dangerous, I can handle myself. Raven stepped closer. Not the cold, smirking version. Something else. Something unsettling. Maggie, he said quietly. If something happened to you on your way home, I'd never... He stopped himself. His eyes flashed like he'd revealed too much. Maggie froze. Her friends froze. Even the wind seemed to hesitate. Why do you care? Maggie asked, voice trembling. Raven's answer was barely a whisper. I don't. But the look in his eyes said otherwise.
When pride collides with concern, a beat of silence. Then Lacey stepped forward. Okay, jerk, if you care, say it. Raven glared at her. I said I don't. Mina crossed her arms. Then stop acting like you do. Raven looked away, frustrated. He wasn't used to people seeing through him, especially Maggie. She softened just a little. Raven, you can't just push people around. You can't show up everywhere I go. I can, he said simply. But I won't. That surprised her. Raven stepped back from the car. Fine, I won't drive you. Maggie relaxed. But I will follow behind you, he added. Until you get home. Maggie threw her hands up. Oh my, Raven! Kio rolled down the car window. Just accept it, Maggie. He's stubborn. Xander added, We'll be out all night at this rate. Drew waved a bag of chips. I already opened snacks. Please walk faster. Lacey laughed. Mina sighed. Maggie rubbed her temples. But Raven, he just waited. Silent, steady, unmoving. Until Maggie finally turned around and began walking. And Raven Maddox followed, not to annoy her, not to win a fight, but because he couldn't let her walk in the dark alone, even if he refused to admit it.
Episode 12. The walk home, the night air was cool. The streetlights flickering as Maggie walked down the long sidewalk with Mina and Lacey beside her. Behind them, moving at a slow, stubborn pace, was Raven Maddox's car, headlights trailing them like a silent shadow. "Do you think he's really gonna follow us all the way?" Lacey whispered. Mina didn't look back. "He's Raven. He threatens people for fun. This is nothing to him." Maggie clenched her bag tighter. She didn't want to admit it, but it didn't feel threatening. It felt protective. Annoying, yes. Unnecessary, definitely. But protective. She hated that. And she hated even more that it warmed something inside her. The neighborhood, after 10 minutes of walking, the surroundings changed drastically. The smooth pavement became cracked. The streetlights grew farther apart. Old apartments replaced the clean, modern streets near campus. Xander stuck his head out of the window. Are we still on Earth?" K.O. whispered loudly. "My shoes are getting depressed looking at this place." Drew tapped the window. "Guys, why is that street lamp sparking?" Raven didn't answer. He wasn't looking at the street lamps. He was looking at Maggie. She kept her head high, shoulders straight. Proud, despite the tired buildings and flickering lights. "It's just a neighborhood," she muttered. But Xander's voice floated from the car again. "Raven." This is where Raven cut him off with one glare. "Shut up." The landlady from hell. They reached Maggie's apartment, gate rusty and slightly crooked. As soon as Maggie unlocked it, a loud voice exploded. "Margaret NYX!" The landlady, Mrs. Gutierrez, marched out wearing a robe and holding a broom like a weapon. "You're late again," she froze. She blinked. She looked at the sleek luxury car. Then at the 4 insanely handsome boys stepping out. Then at Maggie. She lowered the broom. "Hey, Dios mío." Lacey stepped forward. "Ma'am, please don't faint." Mrs. Gutierrez grabbed Maggie's shoulders. "Maggie, why didn't you tell me you were dating a rich man?" Maggie turned beet red. He's not Mrs. G, please." Raven stepped forward. "I'm not her boyfriend," he said firmly. Maggie exhaled in relief. Then he added, "Not yet." Maggie choked on air. Lacey screamed. Mina slapped her own forehead. Xander clapped like he was watching a telenovela. Mrs. Gutierrez gasped dramatically. You have standards, Hija." "Good. Choose the cold one. He has the richest face." Maggie turned to the sky. "Why is this my life?" Inside the gate, the landlady huffed. "Well, if your rich friends are here, you must introduce them properly." "No," Maggie said. "Yes," Mrs. Gutierrez said. Mina whispered, "She outranks presidents. Just obey." So Maggie introduced them one by one. Mrs. Gutierrez pointed at Drew. "You. The small one. You eat too much chips. Not good for the colon." Drew hid the chips behind his back. She pointed at K.O. "You. You look like a playboy." K.O. gasped. "Ma'am, I'm deeply offended because you're correct." She pointed at Xander. You look like trouble." Xander winked. "You have nitrogen monoxide idea." Finally, she stared at Raven for a full 5 seconds. Then said, "You're dangerous." Raven replied softly, "I know." She nodded once. "But good for Maggie." Maggie threw her arms up. "Stop saying that." A quiet moment after Mrs. Gutierrez retreated inside, Maggie turned to her friends. "You guys go ahead. I'll lock up." Lacey and Mina hesitated, but walked inside the gate. Xander, K.I.O., and Drew climbed back into the car. Raven stayed. Maggie sighed. "You can go now." "No," Raven said. Maggie rolled her eyes. "Why not?" Raven tilted his head slightly. "Because you look upset." "I'm not upset," she lied. "You are." Maggie clenched her fists. "Why do you care?" Raven stepped closer. Not smirking. Not mocking. Quiet. Calm. Almost human. "Because," he said, voice low, "you didn't deserve what your boss made you do." Maggie froze. Raven looked away, jaw tight. "I didn't like seeing you apologize for something that wasn't your fault." Her chest tightened. "Then why didn't you say something?" she whispered. Raven swallowed hard. "Because I don't know how to fix things without breaking them first." Maggie stared at him. For the first time, she saw the boy underneath the power. The boy who didn't know how to love. The boy who didn't know how to be good, only how to protect. Even if it came out wrong. "Good night, Maggie," he said softly. He turned to leave. But Maggie said quietly, "Good night." "Raven," he stiffened, then got into the car and drove off, leaving Maggie standing in the quiet night, heart beating too loud.